It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the South region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors South.
When you think of the good striper fishing across the southern half of the United States, there are many good choices. Beginning in South Carolina, they've got excellent striper fishing. And then over into Georgia and Alabama, some great fisheries as well. Even in the state of Texas, there's good striper fishing. But consistently, year in and year out, there's one fishery that performs as well as any in the country. It's the one just over my left shoulder. I'd like to welcome you in today to beautiful, big Lake Texoma. This lake forms the border between Texas and Oklahoma, and there are a couple of things going on this year. First of all, the lake is at historic low levels. Many of the marinas and boat ramps are closed down right now, waiting for a good rain. But in the meantime, the striper fishery has held up in a fantastic way. Year in and year out, this lake has seen its share of flood and drought and everything in between, but the striper fishery just holds up amazingly well. And on today's show, we're going to go out on Texoma and show you a unique way that you can come here and have a great chance to catch a good-sized striper, and quite a few of them. While we're out doing that, we're taking you around your local region for your fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of a cloudy, overcast, drizzly kind of a day. Sometimes those are the best days for fishing. Let's see what's going on out there. Let's get the Nitro Z8 launched into Lake Texoma. While I'm doing that, we're taking you back to the FSN studios. Here's Julie with your weekend planner.
The Salooner tables at least look promising for one of your days on the water this weekend. Good conditions are forecast for Sunday with the best times beginning around 9:15 in the morning and again about 9:40 at night. Expect sunrise to take place at 6:23 with sunset happening at 7:52. And we have a new moon starting on Tuesday, so evenings will have very little moonlight. We'll be right back with all of the current fishing reports from around the Southeast. And I'll return for this week's Ask the Pro feature with Bassmaster Elite Angler Edwin Evers.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Mercury Marine, celebrating 75 years of marine excellence. By Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability. And by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker.
There's one way up there shallow. Look at him up on top. Wow. Striper up on top. They don't usually come up on top like that. This one's making a big wake. Not a bad fish. All right. There we go. Hey, look at that big pig. Welcome back to Texoma, everybody. There's a way to get it started. How about that? Hey, we're on Lake Texoma today. And let me start off by telling you, I mentioned that my guide friend, Dan Barnett, has got a very unique way he's found of catching these big boys. And I'll show it to you. I'm going to stick this fish on the scale just to give you some idea of how big these fish are in this lake. What do we got there? 12 pounds. 12 pounds and 4 ounces. How about that? All right, let's let this fish go back. We're not keeping stripers today, so that's just a great way to get it going. Well, let me show you the way that Dan and his guide customers have been catching these stripers. Not many folks would have thought of an umbrella rig or an Alabama rig to catch stripers with, but what he's done is designed his own, and he's making them out of much heavier wire. That's 50 gauge wire. He's putting some willow leaf spinnerbait blades on it, and then I've got this one rigged up with a bunch of Jean LaRue sweet swimmers. I'll show them to you a little bit later. That's what he's doing, just throwing that out there, reeling it across the tops of some of these little points where these stripers have been hanging out, and that's catching the fire out of them. So think in terms of heavy gauge umbrella rig, 5 baits, imitating a little school of these bait fish swimming across the top, and that caught a 12.5 pounder right off the bat. Let's go to the Carolinas and check in with our man on the scene there, Inglis Glover.
Hey folks, Captain E here with your Carolinas Report, brought to you this week by Marshall's Marine, located in Lake City and Georgetown, South Carolina. We're your bass boat specialist since 1969. For all your nitro and bass tracker needs, visit www.marshallsmarine.com. And on the freshwater side of things in the Carolinas, the bass bites continue to increase. With a lot of bass tournaments going on, recently the Carolinas Bass Challenge, contested on High Rock Lake, had 6 boats that brought in a bag limit of over 20 pounds. Also on the freshwater side of things in North Carolina, Lake Wiley and Lake Norman are starting to report some great catches of largemouth that are moving into that second stage of the spawn. Moving into South Carolina, Lake Murray, we've got some great reports of stripers that are starting to school up on the lake. Also crappie, large catfish can all be found as well along the dam. How about the saltwater side of things, where myself and all my good friends have started to get out, and we are having a great time with the flounder right now. The recent warming trend have brought those flounder back into the estuaries, and also they're starting to stack up on the reefs through the Carolinas. This time of the year is a great time to get out and target them with a mud minnow on a fishizzle tackle jig in the inlet. Also, heading offshore, that blackfin tuna bite is increasing, and those Carolina gold dolphin are starting to move up the Gulf Stream. Get ready, because everything's getting ready to be really hot, and we're going to get out there after them. Man, I hope I can catch a fish right here. I'm Captain E. This has been your Carolinas Report, brought to you by Marshall's Marine. We'll see you next week. Remember, keep your chaos organized and work smarter, not harder.
There's one. And he's burying deep. Hey, welcome back everybody. You're on Fox Sports Outdoors today it's turned out to be a really great day on Lake Texoma. It started off drizzly and kind of nasty and windy, but things have kind of laid off now. Not much wind. He's hooked pretty well. There we go. He's got a pink belly. Look at that. I've never seen that. That's a striper with a pink belly. All right, that's another good one. That's about like the first one we caught, which was 12.5 pounds, about the same size fish. That one caught, that first one on an umbrella rig, that one on a single sweet swimmer. There's a nice solid striper for you, fat belly, getting ready to move up. They've documented that the fish have actually spawned in this lake. Stripers don't spawn very readily in fresh water. I'm in a part of the lake that I don't normally fish. Lake Texoma is a big lake, a lot of water, 90,000 surface acres. The Red River arm is the bigger arm, and the Ouachita arm is the arm we're in right now. It runs up into Oklahoma by the city of Durant. We're on a bunch of just little red clay points that stick out toward the Ouachita River channel. And what these fish are doing is pushing bait up on these little points and feeding in fairly shallow water. We're catching the fish, we're catching at about 8 to 10 feet of water, something like that. Sitting off in 20, throwing up in about 8 to 10, and pulling that little swim bait off, and they're biting. You need to be real careful here, because there are a lot of underwater humps and ridges and stumps that are barely under the surface, and they'll shear the lower end or your prop off your outboard. Just be really, really careful while this lake is down 10 or 11 feet like it is right here when we're here. Okay, got something going today, some good stripers. Let's get you some more fishing reports from your favorite lakes. Let's go to Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Freshwater with Jimmy Jacobs, saltwater with Bob McNally.
April is winding down and the bass spawn is on southwest Georgia's Lake Blackshear. This 8,500 acre reservoir on the Flint River is just west of Cordele, and there's some great largemouth action there right now. Now this is a shallow lake, it's full of standing and fallen timber, and there are a lot of cypress trees. Now target the shallows around those cypress trunks in Limestone, Gum, Swift, and Spring Creeks, as well as in Collins Branch. The lures to be throwing are Texas rigged worms, trick worms, or creature baits. Over in Alabama, the striped and hybrid bass are starting their spawning runs up the Coosa River just to the east of Birmingham. Now these fish will run from Logan Martin Lake up to the base of the Neely Henry Dam at Ohatchee. What you're looking for is when there's 2 to 3 generators running at the powerhouse. You want to toss a 1-ounce jig with a 4-inch white plastic trailer out to where the eddy meets the tail race coming out, and it should be heavy enough to beat that current and get down to where the line sides are feeding. Now over in Mississippi, it's time for big largemouths on Ross Barnett Reservoir near Jackson. The area you want to head to is the Pelahatchie Bay down near the dam. You fish it early and late in the day. There are a lot of lily pads here, and each year it gives up 10+ pound largemouths. The lures that you should throw are frogs or a silver spoon with a pork trailer. Run it through those lily pad bases. But regardless of what fish you're after, now is the time to be on the water in the Deep South.
Hi everyone, welcome to Fox Sports Outdoors Coastal Fishing Report. This portion of the program is brought to you by the state of Mississippi, where the fishing fun is year-round and where the offshore fishing is world-class and the inshore fishing is great too. So start your fishing trip in the true South, Mississippi. Saltwater fishing along the coast have been great the last few weeks, but the wind and weather has been a real problem. Not only is it making it difficult to get offshore and run across the open sounds and bays, but it's chopping up the water and it's making it dirty for anglers. Captain Sonny Schindler out of Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, tells me that he's catching plenty of black drum up to 35 pounds and redfish in the 8 to 25 pound class, even in that dirty water. But he's using dead shrimp on the bottom on the coastal reefs within 2 miles of shore of Bay St. Louis. He says there's about a dozen of these reefs that are marked, and you can find them easily by getting their GPS numbers from the state coastal fishing website. Farther offshore, he says there's plenty of tuna out there in that 80 to 100 mile range, but though it's been so rough, the anglers can't get out there to chum for them and catching some of these tuna that are going to 50 pounds. Those are yellowfins. Inshore, in the Biloxi Marsh area, there's plenty of trout, but those big trout just haven't moved in yet. Those fish should be here within a few weeks, and those 2 to 4 pound trout will really make a good trip, but they're not quite on just yet. Over in Georgia, Captain Brad Stewart at Tybee Island tells me that there's some redfish being caught. They're just beginning to move into the coastal areas, and a 40-pounder was caught off a pier, the main pier there on Tybee Island. Plenty of whiting are on the coast over there in Georgia too, and at South Tybee Island, they're catching fish in about 20 feet of water using dead shrimp on the bottom. In Alabama, the anglers are still waiting for that big run of cobia. Everybody's on go, ready to go after those fish. Some of those fish can be 50 pounds and up, but again, the weather can be a problem. You got to really pick your days and try to get that clear water when you can see those fish cruising the beach.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there. By Luz, setting a new standard in fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Strike King Lures, #1 in fishing. By Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate.
There's one. Hey, welcome back everybody. Fox Sports Outdoors today. Striper fishing on Lake Texoma. Very unusual way to catch them. Got this umbrella rig back going again. Come in this net. All right. That's a fatty right there anyway. Hey, I've learned something today. You almost can kind of make a choice when you come out here to Texoma. Good fish right there. We'll let it go back. See you, partner. You can come out here on any day you want to, and you find what they refer to as quote unquote the Lake Texoma Boat Show. Typically what you'll find is you'll find a big gang of boats, locals, guides, everything. They'll be on a school of fish, and they're catching most of the time what they call box fish, which are just little keeper stripers. And if you want something for the freezer, that's really the way to go. Find those birds diving at the water. Those fish run in big schools, and typically they'll all be about that same size. What I'm learning today is you break away from that. There are hardly any boats either side of me. I've seen maybe 2 boats all day today, and I'm fishing for these more isolated fish, and they seem to be bigger. Here's what they're doing. The big fish feed on big gizzard shad, and these gizzard shad run up to a pound each. And they also feed on crappie. Dan Barnett, my guide friend here, says that they'll run up on tops of these ridges and feed on crappie. So you kind of make a choice when you come here as to what your priorities are. Be a little more patient. A few less strikes, catch a bigger striper. Okay, let's get you some more fishing reports. Here's Crispin Powley in Tennessee and Kentucky.
Guys, I'm gonna keep the bass fishing segment of this week's report short and sweet. In Tennessee and Kentucky, they're on the bank. The water's warming up, the air temperature's warming up, the water's coming up. It's that time of year. Right now, primarily smaller fish around the bank. Not to say you can't catch a big one, but those males are up there right now looking for places to build nests, and those big females are not far behind them. You can catch some of the bigger females out from the bank on staging areas, ditches, stump rows, brush piles, whatever, out from where they'll bed. But let's just cut straight to the chase of the hot thing in Tennessee and Kentucky right now, and that's crappie fishing. Kentucky Lake, hands down, one of the best crappie fisheries in the nation. And right now is the time to be here. If you've ever contemplated coming to Kentucky Lake to go crappie fishing, I highly suggest you come right now. They're shallow. The big black crappie are the main thing. There's some whites to be caught, but those big old black crappie are up there doing it. Guys, chartreuse and June bug, chartreuse and red, something with some chartreuse. Just throw chartreuse, get shallow fish, brush piles, stake beds, gravel banks, lay downs. They're there. It is as easy as taking candy from a baby right now. So guys, come to Tennessee and Kentucky. We've got some great fisheries, awesome quality fish, and now is the best time to get here. Guys, we can't wait to see you on the water, and until we do, God bless.
There's one. Boy, when they slam it, they knock the lights out of that umbrella rig. Not big, but one more. Sun broke out, wind kicked up, and there's one more striper for you right there. That one's going back. All right, stay with us. Gonna take a quick break and tell you that we've got a big contest, a big sweepstakes going on right now. Go to our website or our Facebook page and you can enter. Somebody wins a brand new Lowrance Elite 7. Fantastic combo unit, sonar, GPS, structure scan, all in one. Somebody wins a loose BB1 reel, a bunch of motor guide gear. Go to the website, foxsportsoutdoors.com, or the Facebook page to enter. Stay with us. Back to Texoma in just a moment.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. By Motor Guide, trolling motors engineered for anglers. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Welcome to the big leagues.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro segment. This week's question is from Steven, who asks, when fishing a man-made lake with consistent depth and very little structure except floating docks, what would be the best technique to find bass in the post-spawn month? For the answer, let's ask Bassmaster Elite Angler Edwin Evers.
On a man-made lake in the post-spawn period that, has docks, really no other cover, if they're floating docks, the shad spawn's going to take place right during that post-spawn period. So I'm going to try to swim a jig, slow roll a spinnerbait, maybe a boogie bait down the sides of those docks. If they're stationary docks, you can do the same things. Just figure out where they're relating to on that dock, whether it's the backside, under the walkway, or out on the end. But a lot of times post-spawn, they're going to be suspended up in the water column. So top water, spinnerbait, swimming a jig, something like that.
Thank you, Edwin. If you have a question for one of the experts, visit our website, follow the Ask the Pro link, and let us know. Now let's see which viewer wins the Costa Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest is Tracy Strahan of Biloxi, Mississippi, showing a 39-pound amberjack. It was Tracy's first amberjack, and she ran 87 miles out into the Mississippi Gulf to catch it. Now, if you'd like to enter the contest, just go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Right-hand side of the front page, click on the Costa Catch of the Week box, follow the instructions, and you could win a brand new pair of Costas. Now, you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles by going back to the front page of our website. Again, foxsportsoutdoors.com. Click on the Costa logo, and you can see all of their frame and lens styles, including the beautiful frame style that I was wearing on this week's episode called Switchfoot. On the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, it's the right gear to catch these big stripers at Texoma. The key to catching these fish was locating them in 12 to 14 feet of water, and we did that with the very top of the line Lowrance HDS system. Now you can see that I had my screen split 3 ways with the traditional 2D sonar on the left, the chart on the top right, the structure scan on the bottom right. That's the beautiful 3D image, and the key was to find the little balls of bait fish right on the bottom in 12 to 14 feet of water. As you can see them there, it didn't need to be much to find these stripers. Once you found them, you needed braided line to catch them with. If you're using an umbrella rig, you want braided line. The reason, you don't want to break off all those expensive baits in one swoop. So, Stren Sonic Braid is my choice in braided line. Why? Because it's got a smooth outer coating called Glide Coat that allows it to slide through those rod guides very easily for big, long casts with the umbrella rig. And then we tipped the Alabama or umbrella rig with the Jean LaRue Sweet Swimmer swim baits. Several different colors worked well today. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten to the end of a fishing trip, taken those minnows or shad or whatever live bait I was using and simply dumped them in the water. You think you're doing the fish a favor. I was doing some reading recently. That is a bad idea for several reasons. United States Fish and Wildlife Service is involved in a nationwide campaign called Don't Dump Your Bait. The reason being that they don't want to introduce any non-native or invasive species into any body of water, whether it be a reservoir, river, stream, bay. The recommendation is to simply take your unused bait at the end of a fishing trip, seal it up tight in a Ziploc bag, and either dispose of it in a trash can, or take it home and freeze it for another fishing trip down the road. Don't dump your bait. Don't introduce invasive species into any body of water. We'll all be better off for it. I learned something recently. I hope you do too. Our special thanks this week goes to Dan Barnett, Texoma Guide Service, for locating and putting us on some good stripers for this week's episode. If you'd like to book Dan, he does stay on top of these stripers on a year-round basis. You can get in contact with him at the information you see right at the bottom of your screen. And one word of warning, if you're coming to Lake Texoma and you're bringing your boat, look behind me. All of that dry ground, this lake is very low, and we found a couple of spots today up in this Washita Arm where several stumps and rocks were about 6 inches under the surface of the lake, right next to deep water. So you've got to be really, really careful. Watch your chart, or better yet, hire Dan to take you guiding on a one-day trip so that you'll kind of know your way around. Be sure to watch our show next week. We'll be on Thursday evening, 6 p.m., and a repeat airing Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. You can always get the latest on our air times and any changes that get made late on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. From Lake Texoma, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.